All right, so Nick, tell me, how are you feeling about your relationship with Hannah? Oh, okay, that doesn't seem assuring. Well, what about the finances you guys have to deal with? Tell me how you expect to handle some responsibilities. All right, this tea's gonna keep coming. So, lastly, how are you feeling about how she speaks to you? Yeah, this ain't good, y'all. Not good. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review for Love is Blind Season 7, Week 2. Pardon me, my voice might sound a little different. It's because I lost it over the weekend. Yelling at Tyler. And we're going to talk all about that. But before we get into my spoiler-free and spoiler-filled thoughts, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about Love is Blind, movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you do too, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and like this video, y'all, and get loud in the comments and let me know which moment from week 2 was the most shocking for you. That rhymed. And also, you know what else rhymes? Well, it doesn't really, but week 1, I recapped it on the channel, so if you missed it, watch it, or shame on you. But y'all, I'm going to get into it. Time codes are below, of course. We have my spoiler-filled thoughts we're going to start on right now. I'll give you the spoiler warning, and then we're heading into the episode's recap, because Week 2 is all about episodes 7 through 9. Now, Week 1 had a lot of episodes, 6 hours worth of reality television, but Week 2 is a little bit more efficient, and I'm not going to lie to y'all, the pacing was a lot better. At no point did I feel bored with these episodes, and I actually really appreciated much of the editing. Of course, the song choices are not good, but everything else was really solid. And it makes me happy to say that Week 2 is so much better than Week 1. Y'all know I had an issue with Week 1. It kind of started off a little slow, a bit boring, and I wasn't the only one that thought that, because Pay Your Waits, Sharonda Williams, and Chris Tate also joined me in that same thinking. We were on a live stream on Saturday, and it was great. If you missed it, you should watch it. But yeah, it was just boring. But Week 2, there's so much drama, so much to chew on, so much to be upset by. So honestly, Week 2 is definitely par the course for what we're used to with Love is Blind. So if you're not a fan of how Week 1 started, please stick with it, because it is worth your time this week. And we're so close to weddings. I believe Week 2 begins with episode 7 saying 16 days until weddings, right? So we're literally halfway there, you guys. And some are ready to get married and go to the altar. And some are not. Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. I can't hold it together anymore. I need to talk about spoilers, guys. So this is your spoiler warning. If you have not watched episodes 7 through 9 of Love is Blind, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, save this video to your watch later list, and then come back and tell me who made you mad. Because I know who made me mad. Starts with the T, ends with the Eiler. Alrighty, you guys, so let's get right into spoilers for Week 2 of Love is Blind. Now, like I said, we're less than half a month away from weddings, so things are getting really serious. But who's left? Of course, we got Steven and Monica, Taylor and Garrett, Ashley and Tyler, Marissa and Ramses. We have Hannah and Nick, and then Alex and Tim. I know, you're thinking, Alex and Tim really made it out of Week 1? Yeah, they did. So this week begins with our final Mexico moments and some cool dates, like Steven and Monica. Well, sort of. They didn't have a cool date. Everyone else did. Instead, Monica said, Steven, I'm gonna read you like a book because you told me in the pods you'd get me flowers, but you're not doing what you said you do in the pods. And I'm like, oh boy, Steven, you better watch out, homie, because Monica keeps receipts. But Steven, in true Steven fashion, decides to turn this conversation on its head and reveal, hey, I don't want to be forced into doing anything for you, and yeah, I'm a little reserved on even getting married to you. Steven is the same dude who in the pod said he's known for being a cheater. And here, he says he has reservations about marrying his fiancée. If he is not a walking red flag, who is? But once Monica expresses her anger and disappointment in what he just said, he tries to reverse course and say, wait, I don't have any second thoughts about you. Well, the entire time he was saying, no, yo, baby, chill. He wasn't looking her in her eyes. And I think that's a telltale sign that that man's not ready for marriage. I digress. We'll revisit them very soon. So now let's move on to Garrett and Taylor. Like I mentioned in week 1, they're my top 2 couple. So you got number 1 is Tyler and Ashley, and number 2 is Garrett and Taylor. But they're about to be my number 1 after this week. But we're not there yet. Let's talk about Garrett and Taylor's date. They went glass blowing, and that sounded really weird out loud, but glass blowing is just making cool stuff with heat and glass, and it was cute. There was no drama, and it was refreshing. Next up is Ashley and Tyler. Y'all saw how quickly I wanted to just leave Garrett and Taylor because no drama, so I don't want y'all to try to poke and prod in their relationship. But we're moving on to Ashley and Tyler, and they went on camels. They literally went on camels and went camelback riding. Now, horses seem uncomfortable for me as a man, and camels seem even worse. So I don't know, Tyler, how you did it, but you must really love Ashley. So they began, after their camelback riding date, talking about traditions they'll have with their kids, and they just seem so serious, and it just seems so beautiful. And Tyler, why? Oh, wait, we're not there yet? Okay, wait. Let me pause. I'll save that for the end of this recap. Next up is Marissa and Ramses, and they went on a boat date. It seems like you can take the sailor out of Marissa. Wait, no, that's not how that goes. You can take Marissa out of the sailor, but you can't take the sailor out of Marissa. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong here. But, I said chat, this isn't even a live stream, whatever. But there's really nothing here, okay? All that commentary I just made, that's more substantive than their date. It was just blah. Alrighty, so let's now shift gears and get into Hannah and Nick's final moments in Mexico. Just a quick note though, you guys, did it ever maybe occur to you that Hannah does not look like she wants to be there based on the opening selfie video? You know, the videos where they're just like, yeah, we're in here, oh my gosh, final day, I guess I gotta pack, how you feeling? So she does not seem locked in. Instead, she seems ready to go home without Nick. And their final Mexico date is bungee jumping. Oh my gosh. Now listen, you guys, I'll do some cool, fun, adrenaline stuff. I will not be bungee jumping, and I will not be skydiving because I have common sense. I enjoy living. I enjoy having my feet on the ground safely and secure, okay? And I won't do that, alright? That's just some nonsense. But they went bungee jumping and they had fun? Yeah, I guess. And lastly is Alex and Tim. So like I mentioned earlier, yes, to my surprise, Tim wanting to continue to explore his relationship with Alex after last week is a shocker. Now y'all just know Alex said some nonsense to Tim, and you know Tim doesn't play that. But they, I guess, made up because they're going on an ATV date. That's right, they're in an ATV, but not on sand. No. They want to take it to the next level. These Love is Blind producers, what are we doing, Love is Blind, huh? Why are we sending our contestants out to risk their lives? So they go across a huge bridge. Oh, no, it's not a suspension bridge. It is just a regular bridge with ATVs. Oh my gosh, like, why are we risking it? And in this moment after the ATV date, Tim says, I still love you, Alex, and yeah, I'll come back to the room with you. I guess he's still in love, and she seems happy about it. So, hey, all of our couples make it out of Mexico, and now it's time for just one final couples dinner in Mexico. I mean, what could go wrong? Walking into the dinner, at least Nick and Hannah look more coordinated with their outfits. Hallelujah, thank you, Lord, because last week they did not look coordinated. And this time during the dinner, there were fireworks. Oh no, literal fireworks. A display outside on the beach in Mexico, and it looked like Monica wanted Steven to join her because she was so excited, and Steven's like, pause, I'm talking to my boy Garrett. Oh boy. It just feels like Steven's trying to distance himself from Monica every chance he gets. It's so weird to me, but as a result of this, Steven and Monica have a tiff. Who's surprised? So Steven tries to explain himself. Yo, Monica, why? Okay, I'm so sorry, but the way I said that reminded me of Ja Rule in the Fast and the Furious. Monica! Right? Alright, cut that out. Chris, if you're watching this, you get me. I know you do. But Steven said that he and Garrett were having a conversation, and it was very serious, and he was not willing to give that conversation up to go join his fiancée and watch fireworks romantically. You see how weird that sounds? And you're gonna tell me that Garrett, of all people, wouldn't understand if Steven wanted to pause the conversation and then go watch fireworks? He would understand. I mean, Taylor was not mad at Garrett, at least not on camera, so maybe there was something serious that Garrett had to talk to Steven about, But again, come on, bro. Anyways, Steven shortly afterwards does what he usually does and inserts some really random things into a conversation. It's usually sexual, and it kind of was. He was, I'm not going to say everything. You can rewatch it. I'm not going to say it. It was nasty. But he's having a conversation with Monica and Taylor, and he brings up the possibility of there being a lot of home wreckers in his DMs. I don't understand him. So this embarrasses Monica, and at this point I'm screaming internally, stop speaking, Steven, just stop it. But it's either the alcohol that's got him talking crazy, or maybe this is who he truly is. Monica gets up, clearly is annoyed, walks away, and look who's left to hear this yapping by Steven. It's Taylor. God bless you, Taylor. Don't know how you did it. So we head back to the rooms, and everyone's packing up and getting ready to leave Mexico. Now, something I noticed here is that we did get a lack of Taylor and Garrett in Mexico, all things considered. Sure, we had the mouth tape incident, pretty cool, but otherwise, just felt like we didn't get much of them, maybe because there's no drama there, and that's okay with me. And then we also didn't get too much of Tyler and Ashley A, but maybe that's because they're just two couples, guys, who aren't going to deliver too much drama. Well, one of those two couples, at the time, were not going to be dramatic, but at the end of this week, well, they will. Alrighty guys, so now we're going to get right into our moments in Washington DC with our Love is Blind couples. So 3 weeks left until the wedding. We're super excited. We're in the nation's capital, right? So the editing, I will say though, once we transitioned from Mexico to real life, was really weird. And I couldn't say this in my spoiler free without spoiling some stuff, but it's a sizzle reel of the couples getting into their apartments, and it's very unnatural. Like the way that the Lachey's are reading their lines, super unnatural. So I'm left to believe that maybe this was a sizzle reel that would hopefully catch up viewers who have been putting the show on in the background. I don't know, or fast forwarding. It's just so odd. But right after that sizzle reel, it's time to get right into our living quarters with our couples. So in their apartments, Garrett and Taylor, well, they just seem like they click. I really love them together. They're bonding over this spearfishing passion that Garrett has. So Taylor's like picking on him, and I think it's so cool. It's just nice. It's just very nice. And Taylor is very intentional about understanding his love for spearfishing, and she proves that later on in this week of episodes. Alright, so now we're going to get right into Garrett and Taylor going to Taylor's apartment. And let me tell y'all, Taylor lives very minimally. Like, there ain't nothing in her fridge. You've got, I think there's like maybe just sparkling water or just a couple bottles of whatever alcohol, and other than that, there's nothing else. And I'm left to believe she either eats out every day or somebody cooks for her. But then she'd have leftovers, right? She's one person. Now, naturally, they had a one-on-one conversation, and Taylor reveals that she wants them both to move to San Diego. But Garrett in the pod said he'd be down for it. However, now he's got some reservations. And these reservations are because he doesn't want to move away from his family. All things considered, I understand, but you love Taylor. And if Taylor wants to move to San Diego, y'all are physicists, right? Y'all can spell physicist, and you got all these tattoos of how smart you are on your arm. You can find jobs. You should probably make the move. But I digress because I don't want to spoil and get ahead of myself for later on in this recap. Now, we're going to move on to Steven and Monica, the arbiters of a stress-free environment. No, not really. Monica once again brings up how Steven needs to buy her flowers, and at this point I'm thinking, bro, buy her flowers. It's not hard to make your own bouquet either. Go to Trader Joe's, buy her favorite flowers, put it together. It's really nice. I've done it a few times, and it's so lovely and really, really stress relieving. But come on. And it's almost like Steven heard me, because eventually Steven takes Monica on a date to a pressed flower workshop. Now, granted, didn't know those things existed. I know a lot of things exist, like, pottery courses and stuff, but pressed flower workshops. Sounds pretty cool. Monica does reveal here that her dad doesn't want to be on camera when they do have the family meetup. And she also says, well, my last boyfriend lied to me about something, so she's nervous about bringing him in front of her family as a result of her previous relationship, and her dad doesn't want to be on camera. This is not a great recipe, but still could work out, right? So we eventually get another shocking development in the apartments where Steven reveals that he got laid off from work. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, Monica was okay with it. She's like, it's fine, I can be your sugar mama. Well, she was okay with it until what happens at the end of this week of episodes. Gosh, I can't wait till we get there. But they then begin talking about their wedding, and Monica brings up Steven's previous comments about like, hey buddy, do you remember like 48 hours ago when you said you were super unsure about marrying me? Well, now Monica's the one that's unsure of his mindset moving forward, so Steven's got some damage control to do. Then they pivot to a convo about, you guessed it, their sex life together. It's really, really weird. I think he says something like, you can treat me like a piece of meat or whatever. It's... Please, just stop. Please. And remember when I said I'd hold off on the most dramatic moment between these two for the end of the recap? Well, I can't hold on to it anymore, so we're going to talk about it now. This is the most dramatic moment so far in week 2 of Love is Blind Season 7. Monica has Taylor over their apartment, so immediately the camera cuts there and there's no like context here, so I'm thinking, well, Monica's crying, so is Taylor. What's happening? Who cheated on who? And if I had $1 for everything that happened off camera this week, I'd have $2 because there's a second dramatic thing, but we'll get there. Steven apparently did a sleep test and did not come home the previous night. Steven was caught sending another girl texts about his, and I'm not making this up, he was texting another woman about his fetishes. Look at me. Steven, find Jesus, because that is really, really not normal behavior. Steven claims he was drunk at this sleep test and it led to those texts. Now I gotta ask y'all, why do we believe he was even at a sleep test? I mean, is there a Groupon for sleep tests? DC, how are y'all getting down? Because I've never heard of somebody just saying like, yeah, today I got a sleep test. You know, you don't just do those things. You have to be struggling, I guess, maybe with sleep apnea to then lead to that. But if you're just doing a sleep test, sounds like something you volunteered for, or maybe it's just a ruse. But Steven is the man in the pods who said he was known as a cheater, so honestly, Monica should have left him then and there, but she stuck with him, and I guess his behavior now really does make sense. And this is all apparently happening the day before Steven was supposed to meet Monica's dad. Oh, mamma mia. Yeah, that's a Mamma Mia moment for the ages, isn't it? At least for Love is Blind. Imagine explaining that, Dad. Hey, the meeting's off. He was texting another woman about his fetishes. I know, Dad. Steven then says he shouldn't have come onto the show and wasted her time, and this man is really digging a deeper hole. So Garrett and Monica come back over to console Monica, and it is a very sweet thing of them to do. Alrighty, so yeah, you can probably imagine. That's the end of Steven and Monica. So who's marking them off the list? Because there's no way they get back together. No way, right? Right? Okay, well, we're moving on to Nick and Hannah, because that's the last we actually hear about Steven and Monica for week 2. During their early conversations, Nick does not sound thrilled at all. Hannah eventually says that I'm more mature than you, Nick, and I'm not gonna lie, he does sound offended. And it's here where Hannah's mean-spirited side comes out to play. We saw that it was maybe peeking its head out, you know, during the Mexico moments, but when they get back to the apartments, Hannah's being a little mean. So while we're at Hannah's apartment, Hannah ends up saying, Nick, I'm really upset at you because you're not doing chores around the house. And Hannah says, hey, when you do laundry, you need to do mine too. Oh, and take care of my dog. At this point, I'm like, okay, Nick, you got a lot of things to do. And what's Hannah doing? Oh, she stalks. Okay, but everything else is Nick. That's what it sounds like. So you can see the life leaving Nick's eyes at this point. He's ready to be over it. I think he's really annoyed. What do you guys think? And eventually, when they get down to the financial splits between them two, I think he's just tapping out of this engagement. But yeah, so Nick and Hannah at this point, I just felt like maybe they were not all the way bought in together. So now let's move on to Tim and Alex. I got 2 lines here. 1, Alex said that her dad doesn't know anything about Love is Blind. That's a problem. It's a very big problem. And then she says, hey, when we do have the conversation, can you please leave the proposal part out? Because I didn't tell him. Oh, mamma mia. I can't, Alex. Why? But we'll get back to them in the meeting the family moments. Before that, though, we got one more couple to talk about, and that's Marissa and Ramses, and I have a lot to say about these two. Now, like I said in week 1, I'm not sold on them at all, but now I'm even less sold on them because there are early talks about meeting the family, and Ramses is nervous as he's talking about meeting Marissa's mom. And maybe he really should have been, because she's something. Marissa then changes up the conversation and says, let's talk about our wedding. She apparently wants to have a black themed wedding, and I'm talking the color black, which I've never seen in my lifetime. That just feels bad. It seems bad. It's like a bad omen, right? Hey, there's a reason that there's white that's being worn at weddings, because it symbolizes, peace, joy, hope. Black necessarily doesn't. What is this? So we go from wedding conversation to cooking, because Ramses is making some noodles. But Marissa's comments on the noodles made me fall out of my chair. As an Italian, this is crazy. Listen, she says, oh, these noodles, they're cooked al dente. Al dente. Al dente. Come on, Marissa, come on. So we go from food and back to the wedding. They begin talking about their officiant, and Marissa says she wants a spiritual person marrying them. But then she says something that really doesn't sit well in my spirit. She said, God can take a back seat. Excuse me. I rebuke that in Jesus' name. People, when they say things like this, it makes me, listen, not everyone I get is saved. I get it. But it's one thing to not have a relationship with God. It's another thing to actively say like something like that. Like, that is crazy. Like, that's a direct quote. Like, you're setting yourself up for disaster here. And in the same breath, Marissa reveals that she has been growing up Mormon, and Ramses reveals that, well, my mom is still a Christian. It just feels like Marissa is carrying a little bit of hurt from her time in the Mormon church, and I get it, because church hurt is a real thing. I'm just praying that maybe she finds community, and that she'll be able to experience Jesus' unfailing love. So, of course, now we get into the first real divide together, because they are aligned right up until this moment, where there's a conversation that takes place about Marissa's time in the military. They both have split viewpoints on the U.S. military, because Ramses is anti-military, and Marissa, well, she seemed kind of split at first, saying that she supports the troops, and then she's like, wait a second, Ramses, are you judging me for this? So I believe that she's always been pro-military. It's just she was trying to compromise for Ramses. And it was kind of weird. Ramses was coming on a little strong here. Your fiancé served in the military. The least you can have is respect for that. But why put down the whole military? It was a very interesting thing. Now, I'm not saying I'm one side or the other, of course, here, right? I'm just commenting on what I'm seeing. She's your fiancé, bro. Gotta support her, right? Oh, and one more note. Ramses said, hey, Marissa, if you were a reservist, I wouldn't be with you right now. Like, come on, bro. Come on. Yep. Keep digging a hole, Ramses, because this is making it easier for Marissa to leave. So now I want to get into meeting family and friends, because, hey, we got them in their living quarters. They're chilling, most of them, except for Steven and Monica. But now it's time to meet family and friends. And we're going to start with my now favorite couple. Well, it'll be my favorite couple after we finish talking about week 2, Garrett and Taylor. Taylor meets Garrett's family, and Garrett's parents, Dawn and Randy, are there. Taylor reveals that her parents, well, they won't be there for their meeting. And I'm starting to think, what do you mean, Taylor? But Taylor says that her parents just don't want to participate in Love is Blind, but Taylor says it's more so about the cameras being at the house. And I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. But then some of the nerves start to settle in the room, because Dawn, Garrett's mom, is a bit nervous with how quickly this experiment is moving along. Because it's moving along quickly. I'm not gonna lie. The meeting seemed nice overall, but towards the end, I started to have some questions, and I was thinking we're gonna get some answers. But we didn't. We didn't even get one-on-one conversations with Taylor and Dawn, or with Garrett and his dad. It just kind of scooted along. What happened? But now it's Garrett's turn to go and meet some of Taylor's friends. So Taylor's friends were laying out basically, hey, how much of a life change this is going to be for Garrett to move to San Diego. And the whole time I'm thinking, y'all aren't helping the case here. You're making Garrett double think again. He just met his parents, or he just introduced Taylor to his parents. And hello, can we not maybe sow those seeds of confusion, of doubt? Let's be optimistic here. But honestly, props to Garrett. He said, I've come to a decision. I'm moving with Taylor because I love her and I want to be with her. I'd rather be with her than be in Virginia. And I thought, that's really cool. So between Garrett and Taylor's family and friends meetings, I guess we went maybe 1 for 2. I don't want to say Taylor meeting Garrett's family was a complete win, but Garrett meeting Taylor's friends, it went well overall. So now let's move on to Ramses and Marissa. So Ramses meets Marissa's girlfriends. So instead of maybe just not laying it on too thick about his anti-military stuff, instead he kind of goes and hammers home the message really hard. Marissa's friends are watching them talk, and I can just tell by their body language, they are not sold. The look that Marissa's friends gave, it just says it all, especially when you get to the military topic. Ramses reveals that if Marissa went back in the military, I'd divorce her. Ooh, oh mamma mia, y'all, that is huge. And how does that make Marissa feel? Probably not very good. And that braid in Ramses' hair must be giving him some sort of boldness, because this was wild. Alrighty, so now it's time for Ramses to meet Marissa's mom and her siblings. And if you thought Ramses' comments were wild, Marissa's mom is scary to me. She starts off the conversation by saying, "Hey Ramses, I don't like your fashion sense." Oh my goodness. And she says it to his face, so that ain't great. You could see Ramses is getting a little flustered, right? But just a small note, there was a sweet moment here where Ramses and Marissa are going through Marissa's baby photos, because Marissa's mother brought out this photo album, and Marissa's just like on her phone. And I'm thinking, do you not see that this is a moment? So Marissa's mom gets the most shine in this moment because, well, she's cutthroat, and not in a I love my daughter and I'm protecting her sort of way. It just sounded like she was being really mean. I hate to say it, but she sounded mean. And Marissa's mom said things that were just sort of like out of nowhere. Like Marissa's siblings are like, I like Ramses, or, he seems okay. Marissa's mom was not. She sounds very hurt by her previous relationships, especially when she says she does not believe marriage is forever. And I'm like, listen, I can only imagine her hurt that she has based on her previous relationship or relationships. But man, it's just, why are you going to push that and peddle that negativity and push it onto Ramses and then Marissa? Like, why would you do that? And then she takes it one step further and says, Ramses, you need to sign a prenup. You both have to sign one of those prenuptial agreements. And then Marissa says, Mom, not so fast. I'm going to be the one to decide if we're going to sign a prenup, and I don't need your blessing. Woo, Marissa, you sound like you argue with your mom quite a bit. So after that debacle of a family meeting, Tyler and Ashley A have their moment where Tyler meets Ashley's dad, and it seems really sweet. Ashley's dad seems super genuine and says, okay, I see you, man to man. It's my only daughter. Hey, it's my only daughter. And did you know, this is my only daughter. But he gives Tyler his blessing eventually. And yeah, it went well. Tyler and Ashley A. No drama, right? Alrighty, y'all. So now let's move on to Nick and Hannah, where they meet a lot of family. So let's start with Hannah meeting Nick's family. Well, not so fast, because when they first go to Nick's house, his parents aren't home. So Nick is like, let me show you my room in the basement. So then we move on to Nick meeting Hannah's brother. I believe his name is Cade. And Nick just looks tapped out once again. Every time the camera catches this man, it just feels like he's not 100% into this engagement. And Hannah is probably exhausting the heck out of him. Hannah doesn't waste a second to nitpick Nick in front of her brother. And it is weird. Hannah says, then I woke up to all the laundry that I had to fold, and it was Nick's. So Nick claps back and says, well, I guess that's what happens when you're unemployed, am I right? And then even Hannah's brother was just like, that was pretty good. Nick and Hannah just do not seem happy with each other, but listen, they're masquerading all of these jabs as jokes, and I'm just not buying it. Even Cade weighs in and says, listen, my sister has an issue when she's given a dose of her own medicine. So when you clap back, just know she's going to get upset, but I get it. So, yeah, things don't all look great there. But Nick eventually goes and meets Hannah's parents, and Nick is really, really thoughtful with his gift to her parents. It was a Washington Capitals hat that he also brought for Hannah's little brother, and I thought that was really sweet. Eventually, after all the pleasantries are exchanged, Hannah just wants her parents to grill Nick, but they did not abide, and Hannah's upset about it. She's wound up, and her mom even calls her out. Calmate, Hannah. You look super tense and anxious. And she is. So, again, No one-on-one convo with the parents here, so it seems like these family moments, not a lot of those one-on-one conversations, right? With the fiancés and their parents, it's odd. And lastly here, Hannah's meeting Nick's mom and dad. And Hannah was super thoughtful in her gifts to Nick's parents, like a pineapple thing for his mom, and then what was the other? Oh, golf balls, that's right, golf balls for his dad. And listen, all I know is that Nick's parents have good taste because I saw a University of Miami Hurricanes sticker on their fridge. Go Canes, baby. Number 6 in the AP rankings at the time of this recording. Go Canes. The meeting went well. Nothing else of note, but they just seem really sweet. They love Hannah, and they give their blessing. And lastly, we have Tim and Alex, with Tim meeting Alex's family. Now, Alex's dad, he ain't about any of this. He's super serious. He's like, love is blind. Love is what... Listen, this is my daughter. And he is not having it with the pleasantries. But eventually, Tim and Alex's dad get a one-on-one. And it is super emotional. Tim is reading a letter to Alex's dad during this one-on-one conversation. And they're both crying. But Alex's dad, when he starts crying, he had me crying. So we asked for Alex's hand in marriage, and Alex's dad says, I accept you as our son, and starts crying. And I'm crying. We're all tearing up. Give me the Kleenex. Alrighty, y'all. So now we're back to the apartments after the family meetings, and it's time to check in on Ramses and Marissa. So Ramses admits, yo, Marissa, your mom was a bit too much. And then they figure, okay, well, let's move on to another topic, like kids. Not stressful at all. Ramses says that his timeline for kids is closer to 4 years, while Marissa says, yo, that's way too long, so I'm gonna have to go on birth control. And she's gonna have to do that because she reveals that they've been risking things. Y'all know what that means, alright? They're just asking for trouble here, but Ramses says, yo, I don't want to wear protection while we, because it's not enjoyable for me, and this, needs to be mutually enjoyable. And Marissa is like, okay, well, if you want that to happen, then I guess you're gonna get kids earlier than you expect. Woo-wee. But the minute that this physical side of things starts to get taken away, I start to see Ramses disassociate a bit. So I knew it, guys. They're all about the physical, and when you take that away, they don't have a foundation. And that's scary for them. So the verdict is still out, or the jury's still out, yeah, on those two. So now let's move on to Garrett and Taylor. And Taylor is like, yo, Garrett, I'm not gonna lie to you. I give you super props for how you handle that Monica situation. And you know what? So do I. However, not everything is shining with their relationship because Garrett's mom's words made Taylor feel insecure, which is something we didn't know ahead of this conversation. Apparently, Garrett had a private conversation with his parents ahead of this, and they're not really, it doesn't sound like they're approving of their engagement, so it's not great. But let's add insult to injury here because Garrett is already convinced that Taylor's dad will not give him his blessing to marry his daughter. So what's going on here, guys? I guess we need to be worried, but Taylor says something that makes me even more worried, which is maybe we need to think about postponing the wedding if my parents don't approve at first. Okay. Are we panicking? Yeah, we're panicking. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to move on to Nick and Hannah, and there's really nothing to talk about here. I just got to say one thing. Little moments where Hannah's poking and being mean to Nick, it's going to mount up, and it's not going to be good for their relationship. Alrighty, so Tim and Alex time, guys. We're going to Tim's house. Yep, he's got a home. Big old home with the Emancipation Proclamation right on display. Nothing wrong with the Emancipation Proclamation, but why is it on display? I don't know, I've never seen that before in my life. But his house seems well put together, which is the complete opposite of Alex's house, because Alex's apartment is a mess. She says it's a mess, so I can say it's a mess, but it's a mess, alright, y'all? There's no real petty comments, though, from Tim, because I think he's like, yo, this is bad, so we're definitely staying in my house, and I can't blame him. Now, I want to get into the final moment for week 2 to recap and to talk about, and that's the bombshell between Tyler and Ashley A. We quickly cut to them in an apartment, and it seems like they just had a huge tiff. Now, it's off camera, so of course, again, we don't see it. Ashley reveals, though, prior to this conversation, she literally left the apartment, like packed up some stuff and left to get her mind together. So I'm like, whoa, hold on. What is happening? I'm gonna buckle in. Ashley says, and I quote, "Our superpower isn't our superpower anymore," end quote. And at this point, I'm screaming internally, What happened here? Stop playing in my face, Love is Blind. What are we doing here? It's my favorite couple, right? So what's happening? Well, Tyler drops a bomb on Ashley and revealed that he has 3 children, 2 girls and a boy, with someone he knows after donating his sperm. Now, y'all, I don't know everything, but I know a lot about some things. And this is one thing in particular where you should probably reveal this to your fiance ahead of time. Yeah. Now, I would not blame Ashley for leaving. And yeah, he should have just been open about this in the pods. So they're crying. They're doing that thing where they're like, I love you too. But it seems like Ashley, y'all, Ashley looks like she's getting ready to tap out. And that's where we're left with week 2. And next week, of course, we're talking about episodes 10 and 11 because weddings are around the corner. Who's left? Will Tyler and Ashley make it? Nick and Hannah. Has Nick had enough? Steven and Monica are definitely done. Unless they're not. We'll see. But at this point, Garrett and Taylor, my number 1 couple, and I think they're the only couple that's going to get married at this point. I'm not even lying. I don't think Tim and Alex are getting married. Don't think Ramses and Marissa are getting married. We know Steven and Monica aren't. And, well, I'm saying we know, but we don't, right? And Tyler and Ashley, I do not think are getting married either. So, Nick and Hannah, not getting married. But this is rough. This shakes up a lot. Week 1, there was some more certainty with these couples. Week 2, not so much. So week 3, what's next? We'll find out together. So hit the big red button below. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. Let me know in the comments below which moment was your biggest, I guess, bit of drama. Like, where do you feel like you fell out of your seat? Because for me, it was the Tyler and Ashley thing. Tyler. Well, y'all, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys. And I'll catch you at the next screening.